Was this self-defense or cold-blooded murder? Sometime in 2017, a 21-year-old Brett Smith moved into an RV home with his friend and his friend's father. Billy Combs' son asked him if he could go pick up Brett because Brett was having problems where he was living. He was having trouble getting along with his family. Like a lot of other people, especially in Arkansas, Brett Smith struggled with addiction. So I'm sure that made things more difficult. So Billy Combs went to get Brett Smith and bring him to his RV where he lived with his son. Brett Smith lived there for a year to a year and a half before the incident that I'm about to talk about. In that time, Billy Combs was really frustrated because Brett Smith, he refused to work. He got a job like one time. He worked half a day. And that was it. The rest of the time, Billy Combs just was there around the RV, not really attempting to do anything or do any better for himself. And that was something that really frustrated Billy Combs. So Billy's son, and Brett Smith were all living in Billy's RV in Harrisburg, Arkansas, when on September 21st, 2018, Billy Smith called someone that he knew. He had a personal relationship, Justin Kimball. He used to work for the Harrisburg Police Department, and tell him that he needed Justin to come to his home because he had a dead body in his house. It must have been a Friday night because Justin was actually at a football game with another officer, and they were just at the game, watching the crowd and stuff like officers do, whenever he received this call. And Justin was kind of shocked by the call in general. So he went to Billy Combs' home, which was really close to the football field. According to Justin Kimball, when he got to Billy Combs' RV, Billy Combs was sitting in his recliner just inside the door. So when Justin Kimball walked inside the RV, he could see on the couch on the other side of the door a dead body. A Brett Smith was just sitting there, not responsive at all. He could see some blood splatter on Brett Smith, but he couldn't see really any injuries, so he didn't know what had happened at that point. But he asked Billy Combs to come out of the RV, which Billy Combs did. Billy Combs was really calm during the entire situation and even asked if he could go tie up his dog, which they did allow him to do. The officers went in the home. They were able to see that Brett Smith had several wounds to the left side of his face. It was clear that Brett Smith was dead. They then stepped outside the RV and asked Billy Combs, what is going on? What happened? And Billy Combs told them the entire story. According to Billy Combs, he said something to Brett Smith about Brett needing to get a job, and Brett Smith became angry and got a machete. According to Billy Combs, Brett Smith told him, "I should just kill you now, old man," as he had his arm up with the machete like he was going to strike Billy Combs with the machete. So Billy Combs tried to calm Brett Smith down. He calmed the situation. He went to go get his dog and acted like he was going to go to bed. But Billy Combs had something else in mind. Billy Combs knew that his son had a gun that was hidden in his bedroom, and he knew where the key was hidden as well. So Billy Combs got the key to the gun case. He got the gun out of the case and he loaded the weapon. He then slowly opened the door so that he could see Brett Smith sitting on the couch. Brett Smith was sitting on the couch eating Cool Ranch Doritos with the machete laying under his arm. Billy Combs fired 10 shots at Brett Smith, hitting him in and around his left ear. He emptied the entire clip. When asked about the number of shots that struck Brett Smith, Billy Combs was incredibly matter-of-fact about it. Billy Combs told police that he fired 10 shots at Brett Smith because there were 10 bullets in the clip. So Billy Combs told police what happened that night in that RV, and Billy Combs had what I would call kind of like a fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me attitude about it. He said that Brett Smith had threatened him once before, and Billy Combs smoothed over that situation, but that he wasn't going to be threatened in his own home. So Brett Smith threatened him a second time that night, and Billy Combs had enough. And like I said, the police could see the machete sitting under Brett Smith's arm there on the couch. So it was definite that Brett Smith did have a machete that night. But the question became, was Billy Combs in any actual danger when he committed the murder? Because according to Billy Combs, this was self-defense. Billy Combs felt that he was protecting himself in his own home from a threat. But the police didn't really see it that way, because the way they saw it, maybe there was a threat earlier in the evening, but when Billy Combs went and retrieved the weapon and came back and shot Brett Smith 10 times, Brett Smith was no longer a danger to Billy Combs. Brett Smith, that night, during that moment, sitting there on that couch with the machete under his arm, eating Cool Ranch Doritos, was not a threat to Billy Combs anymore. Billy Combs even said this was not premeditated, but the police just viewed it differently because the threat didn't exist in that very second that Billy Combs fired those 10 shots at Brett Smith. So in 2018, Billy Combs was charged with capital murder, possession of a firearm by a certain person, and tampering with physical evidence. The possession of a firearm by a certain person and tampering with physical evidence charges were dropped, but Billy Combs had a jury trial, and on September 18th, 2019, Billy Combs was convicted of capital murder and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Billy Combs filed an appeal, but in 2020, his conviction was upheld. So Billy Combs, barring anything else happening or filing any other appeal, will spend the rest of his life in the Arkansas Department of Corrections.